Good morning, YouTube. Welcome back to the Allen Hour. Thanks for tuning in on such an early morning here on the 20th of April. Dylan and Andrew back with you on the Allen Hour. And on a much higher note this time, the last time we were with you was when the Angels and the Yankees split the 4-game set. This weekend now, Royals a sweep for the Yankees. And it was might I say, one of the best and overall series the Yankees have had up to this point this year. They're now 13-9 on the year. The Royals now 7-15 down there with the Mets for the worst record in baseball. And it was a really well put together weekend. Friday was really the only game that was in question, right? The other two games were pretty much out of reach for Kansas City, and the Yankees put them away through some good pitching and through a lot of good hitting this weekend.
Yeah. Good morning, everybody. Happy 420 to all who celebrate. We don't celebrate, but some do celebrate. So happy 420 to you all out there. And what a good day to do it. You get a Yankees off day today, coming off of a sweep. Yeah, it was a really good series. And it felt like it just honestly, it feels like the Royals might not be a great team this year. I know that's a easy thing to say April 20th, and they have the worst record in baseball, but their offense just is not very good. Now, I do think if they eventually do get clicking, they can get somewhere because their pitching, I think, is a lot better than what they showed this weekend. But yeah, I don't know about the Royals team. The Yankees they dominate the AL Central. They have for a while. They dominate specifically the Royals. I believe now in their last 22 series together, the Yankees are 21-1. They have like a 55-18 record.
Yeah, that's the number I saw. That's the number I saw.
That is insane. So we've just absolutely dominated. I think we have a 10-game win streak against them too. So yeah, nice to get a sweep. Really needed it, especially from the pitching side of it. More excited about seeing the pitching go off this weekend than I am the hitting. But of course, both were very nice to see. But yes, very good series. Very good sweep.
And Ryan McMahon finally did something. Game one, which is where we'll start our attention. 4-2. I mentioned it was the only game of the weekend that was close for the Royals. Pasquantino tied it up in the 8th inning with the solo shot at 2, and then in the bottom of the 8th, McMahon came up in a big spot, and to his credit, hits a 2-run shot. And say what you want about the result of it, right? And it was a first row home run. Say what you want about it, but it went out, and it counts the same. And it's a 2-run shot. Gave the Yankees a 2-run lead, and then they closed it out in the 9th inning. So McMahon finally gets something going, and you can hope that this is something that turns into confidence for him going forward, and he can kind of turn it into consistent and some reliable at bats down the line. Hopefully you think it can turn a switch for him.
Yeah, that was a pinch hit home run, right?
I think so.
Yeah, so that's impressive. It looked like a short, poor shot. Actually was going to be out in 24, 30 ballparks, and he went the other way too. Thought that might spring him for the rest of the weekend. I think he only got the start yesterday against a lefty, or did he even he did get a start yesterday against a lefty. Didn't really springboard him too much in the series, but yeah, that was really nice to see. I mean, the announcers were all over it too. Michael Kay and Paul O'Neill were like, oh, well, this is a big spot. He really needs this one. Even like Paul O'Neill was like in the middle of his sentence, still saying it as it was going over. So yeah, that was cool to see, especially because they were kind of lackluster offensively in game one. Especially if you compare it to the rest of the series. But yeah, I mean, Ben Rice got going again. And then obviously Ryan McMahon with the big 2-run home run. Yeah, that was cool to see. The bottom of the lineup really this whole series was really good.
I mean, the offense as a whole was really, really good.
Yes,
I mean,
true.
13 runs in game 2, 7 runs in game 3. Outside of Friday, it was really the weekend was the offense, and then the pitching. I mean, to really just give up 4 runs for the remainder of the 2 games, which was really nice. But yeah, I mean, game 1 was nice and all, but I think game 2 is where we should really focus our attention at most, because it was just, in my opinion, it was the most well put together game for the Yankees this year from a pitching standpoint, from a hitting standpoint, where it just seemingly everything was in full motion, in full swing, and there was no real bump in the road. We had one of Will Warren's best starts. I know he had 11 strikeouts in a start last year. We were talking yesterday about this, but I mean, to see him do that again, right, in a year where all we've been talking about is when Cole comes back, when Rodon comes back, right? Like, who's going to slide out of this rotation? And we've seen nothing but greatness from Will Warren. We've seen recently, I mean, I know the game against the Angels, but recently Weathers has been really, really pitching well. Sunday, he had an awesome game. So it's going to be a tough decision for Aaron Boone and whoever else is in on those discussions and those decisions. But for the time being, I just thought Saturday was a really well put together game. Will Warren showed out, and the offense showed out 13 runs.
Yeah, kind of a slow start a little bit. I mean, I say slow start. The scoring got started in the third inning, but when you see 13 runs on the board, you probably think they jumped on them first two innings, stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, both pitchers were pitching well. It was zeros through two, and then the Yankees exploded for 3 home runs in the third, and those came off the bat of Rosario, Bellinger, and then again Ben Rice, who ends up hitting four straight when it's all said and done at the end of the series. So, yeah, just really exciting to see. I mean, even JC Escara was ripping extra base hits. Thankfully, originally one of them was called a triple earlier in the game. Kyle Isbell and Caglione collided into each other in right field, so that got taken off the board, which would have been Escara's first career triple. And then later in the game, in his last at bat, he rips a triple anyways. So almost had two triples, one obviously taken away from the air, but still secures his first career triple. I think he's the first Yankees catcher I saw since like Joe Girardi in
Oh
the
boy.
late 90s to have a double and a triple in the same game. So that was pretty cool to see. But yeah, just more of kind of the bottom of the lineup going. Obviously, Ahmed Rosario just kept raking. His bat is red hot. Cody Bellinger got going with 2 home runs. So it was nice to see. And you look at the Will Warren line, 7 innings, 2 runs, no walks, and 11 strikeouts. And you're like, whatever. Those 2 runs didn't matter. The Yankees were up like 10-0. Will Warren and it was honestly a good hit by Carter Jensen. I think he pulled an outside fastball and absolutely crushed it. But yeah, I mean, that could have been an even better. If you just didn't watch the game and looked at that stat line, you'd say, wow, that's a really good start. I think if you watched the game, you would have thought it was even better. So really good stuff from Will Warren, matched his career high in strikeouts. I think he pitched against the Rangers last year and did the same thing. 11 and six innings in that Rangers game, though. So that was a little bit better. But yeah, Will Warren, I mean, just overall the pitching, right? We talked about through the Angels series, they didn't have one start of 6 innings from any of their starters in those 4 games. And then immediately Cam Schlittler hits them with 6 innings. And then Will Warren now with 7 innings. So that was huge to see because we saw the Yankees bullpen getting overused in that Angel series. And then after that, you got 3 straight games against the Royals. I was kind of worried that they might be used even more. And I was kind of worried how that might pan out for them. So it was nice to see a lot of length this series.
And now you get the off day today, which was much needed. Again, this is the first off day so it wasn't last Monday. What was it? The previous Monday, or right?
Yeah, we had 13 in a row. So whatever
was it
that
last third?
To.
Okay, so maybe it was the Thursday prior to the what was it, the A's series or whoever they were playing weekend before that?
Yes, and then they had an off
Or maybe
day,
it was Tampa
before the Rays series.
Was it in between the A's and Tampa series, and then they played? So that Thursday, yeah. So it's been a while since the Yankees have had an off day. And to your point, it's nice the bullpen kind of had some time to work with the last 2 games, really, and then now you go into the off day today, and what should be a big series against the Red Sox, the first time that these two will be facing each other this year. It'll be up in Boston. We'll talk about that series later on in the stream, in the video, but. To come back to just this series, game 2 specifically, in my opinion, this is probably Will Warren's best start in terms of efficiency. The start you brought up with the 6 innings, 11 strikeout production was more efficient. But in terms of, in my opinion, length, being able to go 7 innings with 11 strikeouts and keeping that pitch count at 93 is pretty damn efficient nonetheless. So I do think this is one of his best starts of his career. I wanted to pose the question, not to put you on the spot and like recall past starts, but it was that good of a start. And the Yankees offense cruising from the 3rd inning on helped him out, I'm sure, with his confidence on the mound. It snowballed for Noah Cameron, the starter for the Royals. I didn't put his stats on any of these overlays because there were just so many offensive stats to include for the Yankees and stuff that I just didn't have the room. But just to take you through how he looked, he went 4 innings, 7 hits, 5 earned runs, 2 walks, and 3 strikeouts. And he gave up those 3 home runs he mentioned in the 3rd inning. And then they brought in Mitch Spence to really just close out the rest of the game. He went 4 innings, 4 hits. He gave up 6 runs, 5 walks. The one thing that stuck out to me, I guess it was in this game. Yeah, it was in this game. The Yankees walked 7 times and struck out 6 times. So for a team that's viewed as a strikeout or nothing kind of team, right? And I think that's somewhat fair to say for some of the hitters in this lineup, right? It's refreshing to see a game where the offense puts together more walks than they do strikeouts. And especially when you consider Stanton and I think Jazz both went over in this game, probably making up the majority of those 6 strikeouts. It was nice to see the offense just put an all-together game together.
Yeah, every Yankee got on base, I think, except for Stanton. But you're right, neither Stanton or Jazz got a hit, and we kind of saw this coming. I mean, eventually, right? We were walking so much, walking, even when we were losing games, that you just kind of felt like eventually it would break through. Eventually, we'd have some timely hits. But yeah, I think for Will Warren. I think it probably is the best start of his career. I'm looking back at it right now. The 11 strikeouts was actually against the Angels last year, not the Rangers. He did go 5 2/3, no runs against the Rangers with 10 strikeouts in a start last year. But yeah, I would say this one was the best because now I was very locked into this game. If some people might not know out there, I work for John Boy Media, so I was working talking Yanks for this game posting. So I was extra locked in. And he just looked so good. The Royals didn't look like they knew he had a sinker. Like that's how good his sinker looked. I think he had six, maybe 5 or 6 strikeouts looking like guys that just didn't know what was coming. And a lot of those were on the sinker. So he just was really, really commanding. And again, I think if you take away those 2 runs, it's probably no doubt, his best start. And honestly,
Mhm.
in my mind, I kind of do take out those 2 runs. I think a little bit too, what might affect it is because since the Yankees offense was so good, it almost kind of brings the start down a little bit. If it was like a 2-1 victory or something like that, and he goes 7 shut with 11 strikeouts, then you're like, oh my God, hell yeah, Will Warren, because he's kind of the main focus. But there was so much other stuff going on that I do think it gets diluted a little bit, which it shouldn't, because it was a great start, whether the offense provided or not. I'm sure the offense scoring 13 runs helped Will Warren relax
Mhm.
a little bit and probably made him better overall. But yeah, just really, really good to see from Will Warren. All of our starters kind of balancing it out a little bit, with the exception of Luis Hill, who hasn't had as much time as the others. So we'll give him a little more time to do that. He's going to have a big start tomorrow when we go to Fenway. But yeah, overall, just really awesome to see from Will Warren, a guy who you could just tell last year and even the year before that had really good strikeout stuff, but just at times couldn't put away batters. I think the biggest change that he made this offseason is now he's kind of starting more on the right side of the rubber to help him with left-handed pitching. Left-handed hitting, I mean. So in his first year, he had a 1 OPS against lefties. His last year around a 700, and now this year a 590. So that's going in the
Mm.
right direction. Let's hope it stays that way. But yeah, a really, really good piece to have. Kind of got thrown into the fire last year because of injuries. Wasn't like 100% ready to come up, or the year before, kind of came up because of injuries, and he's taken advantage of his opportunity in his couple years.
And you mentioned the 5 or 6 strikeouts he had looking in this game.
Yep.
The Yes Network showed a graphic at some point, and I don't know if it was in the majors or if it was the American League. I want to say it was the majors, and I don't remember the exact number, but he led the league last year in strikeouts looking, or at least in his career, whatever the span was.
Wow.
He leads the league in strikeouts looking. So that's kind of his forte, and it kind of tells you the kind of stuff that he has. It freezes batters when he's on. They're not really picking it up, and it has some late movement, and it creeps back into the zone at the last second. So when Will Warren is on, he's on. And again, we'll have this conversation when the timing is right. But you see Garrett Cole making rehab starts in Somerset. I'm sure Rodon is doing similar things. I'm not really caught up on his rehab process, but that conversation will have to be had eventually, Andrew, where we'll sit down and we'll discuss
Yeah.
who the Yankees should either move to the bullpen, or if they have to send someone down to AAA, right? If there's not enough room to keep some guys, or if you move multiple guys to the bullpen, who from the bullpen then gets moved to AAA. We'll have to have those discussions because Rodon and Cole coming back is inevitable. Um, Luis Hill has not looked great, so I think he's probably losing the battle right now. If it's between Warren, Weathers, and Hill, I think he would be the first to go, quote unquote, the chopping block to the bullpen. But I do think that is a conversation we're going to have. But
Yeah.
so far, it's nice to see Will Warren and Game 3 pitcher Ryan Weathers, who had another nice start in a 7-0 win, 7 1/3 innings pitched, 5 hits, just 1 walk, 8 strikeouts, 95 pitches. And they brought him, I shouldn't say they, Boone brought him back out for the 8th inning to face the lefty once he got him out, and then he took him out. So I like that approach as well, keeping the lefty on lefty. You see some teams do that. It makes sense. But again, it's nice to see Weathers build off of that shaky start against the Angels, where he gave up 3 straight solo home runs right in the first inning, and it seemingly just was, the game was over from the jump in that one. This one, and he finally got some run support, which I think was the biggest takeaway as well, Andrew.
Yeah, like immediate run support, right? I mean, he gives up 3 home runs in his last start, and then the Yankees say, "Okay, we're going to score 3 runs for you in the first inning of this start." But yeah, it was just it was really really good to see. Boone kind of pump faked me with throwing him back out there for the 8th because I posted the final line after the 7th. I was like, "He's had like 93 pitches, like he's probably going to be out of this game," and then he brings him in from the lefty. So had to delete and repost, no big deal. But yeah, just so I mean, this is what he is capable of doing. Right. And I mean, even in that Angel start, you see the strikeout stuff. He had 10 strikeouts for crying out loud. He
Yeah.
allowed 4 homers, but he had 10 strikeouts. Now he put it together. And this whole series, this is what we've been asking for. Like, when is the hitting going to align with the pitching? Right. And this series was the epitome of that. I mean, it was quite literally hitting, 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 pitching, pitching, pitching. It was freaking awesome. And as much as we saw that bullpen in that Angel series, I think we had like 2 high leverage, maybe high leverage guys pitch in this series out of the
Mhm.
bullpen. I mean, Saturday you had, I think it was Warren to Blackburn, and then now you had Weathers to Shavihi. Like, no shots fired at Blackburn or Shavihi, but those aren't going to be our high leverage guys. So we
No,
had
no,
a
no,
lot
no.
of rest.
Blackburn, you don't have to tippy toe around. He knows his role. There's a reason why he comes into games when they're either up 8 or they're down 8. Okay, he eats
Yes,
innings. All
correct.
right, you don't have
I
to
mean,
you don't
but
have to
you
beat on the
say that,
bush.
but I have seen him in the ninth in one of these close games that ended up we ended up losing in extra innings. So you know,
Then that's yeah,
who
that's because
knows?
Boone will tell you he's got to get pitches in, and that's garbage.
Yes. So it's just nice to have like 2 pitcher games. I think John Boy mentioned this, like 2 pitcher games. I mean, that's what you want. You want starter and 1 reliever. I mean, that is like best case scenario if
Mhm.
the starter doesn't go the whole damn game. So that was really awesome to see. I don't even think we saw Tim Hill in this series, if I remember correctly. I don't think we saw um Fernando
I can tell you.
Cruz
I can
in
tell
this
you. Let me
series.
look because game 2 and 3 we know they definitely didn't pitch. So game
Right.
1 it was Duvall, Hedrick, and Bednar. So no
Right.
Hill, no
No Hill, no
Cruz.
Fernando Cruz. Those are like,
Right.
so that's they're really coming off of 4 days rest. Now, I don't know if I love that. Like, they might give up a ton of runs in Fenway off 4 days rest, or they might be absolutely locked in because they needed the rest. I don't know. We'll find out tomorrow. But yeah, it's just nice to see 2 pitcher games. I
Yeah,
mean, just nice to see that. That's awesome. It's
it
after a
is.
series like the Angels when we had 13 games in a row, and we did bad math, by the way. Their last off day was 2 weeks ago. Was
Oh,
the
was it
Monday.
2 weeks to the Monday?
Rays
Okay.
Rays to Angels to Royals all consecutively. So
Okay.
yeah,
So it was the
it's
Monday. Okay.
just the pitching, the hitting. Just what a great series.
Yeah, and like because especially the Angels offense really just did a number on us, specifically Mike Trout, right? I mean, every game it
Oh,
seemingly just looked like the pitching just didn't have it, right? And so I know the Royals are quote unquote the worst team in baseball up there with the Mets in terms of the record, right? So maybe you sit there and say that this should have happened, that the Royals should have struggled, that the offense, that was why they're so bad. The offense can't score, right? But I guess to that, all I say is, well, the Yankees did what they were supposed to do then. So we should not hold that against them because we do know the Royals offense is the reason why that they're this bad.
yeah.
The pitching did not play well this weekend for them. But if you go back and watch our video breaking down the Angel series, previewing this one, we talked about how good the rotation was for the Royals, ERA wise, walk to strikeout ratio. Like it was very good numbers. And it just didn't show up this weekend. But the majority of the reason why they were losing games is because they just couldn't score. And this weekend was pretty, it was evidence as to why that is, right? Six runs in 3 games. So it's not going to cut it. It's 2 runs a game for the
Yeah,
Royals.
six runs in 3 games, and like 4 of those runs really didn't matter in game 2. They were down 10-0 when they scored 2
Right.
runs, and then they were
Right.
down 13-2 when they scored another 2 runs. So they have the least amount of runs in baseball. I mean, that's what it is. I don't think that will continue. Like in my head, like Michael Garcia, Jack Caglione, Bobby Witt Jr., Vinny Pasquantino, like I don't Salvador Perez, Carter Jensen, like they have like legit hitters. So I don't think that's going to continue. But God, they looked terrible. And you had the whole situation with Salvador Perez where he gets like the off day in the middle game. And after the game, the manager's like, oh, he needed like a breather. And then he tweeted out, like, I don't need a breather. So
I don't need a
I don't
mental
know what's
breather.
going on over
Yeah.
there. But
The
yeah, just
captain, the
and
captain's
then they
calling out the manager. That's
yeah,
it.
and then they brought up Elias Diaz, who maybe
Yeah.
some of you know that's a great poll. I think he won 2023 All-Star Game MVP. If you know, you know. But
With the
yeah,
Rockies, right? At that point, wasn't he with the
yes, with the
Rockies then?
Rockies. Yes,
Yeah.
he was. Then he wins was with the Padres for a couple of years, and now this was his first game. By the way, the slowest runner of all time, and that's coming from a guy that's watched Stanton in the majority of his career. That rounding third base, I mean, Michael Kay and Paul O'Neill, it was a great relay to Trent Grisham, Caballero, Wells' credit. But like that was the slowest run I've ever. They tried to score Elias Diaz from first base. It was a mess. You could tell they haven't been able to score runs because they were trying to score Elias Diaz from first base. Another catcher on the roster, so I don't know what's going on with them. Between Perez, Carter Jensen, and him. Just not what you want from the Royals. A team that like was 82-80 last year, and the year before that was part of our World Series run in the playoffs. So not a terrible team the last couple of years. Just needs to put it together.
And there hasn't been a lot of change either. You think of the pieces on this team, Maikel Garcia, Bobby Witt, obviously, right? Pasquantino, and then pitching-wise, Michael Wacha's been there for a while. Noah Cameron's been there for a while. Cole Ragans. I think that might be, maybe that's why. Cole Ragans just has not been what he once was, I think, in that ALDS year where he was really, really dominant. Last year was a terrible year, and I remember because he was on my fantasy team and he sucked. This year, it seemingly looks the same. You look at his numbers on this game, Andrew, 4 1/3, 8 walks, 6 strikeouts. Yet another game where the Yankees just continued to work walks, and they were able to score runs, 7 runs off of Reagan. So just another well-put-together offensive game. You mentioned the relay out at home against Elias Diaz. At that point, the Royals are just looking to put up a run, right? Test the throw. You're down big already. Against Ryan Weathers, they were putting together, it seemed like a decent inning, and they just tried to stretch it out in the 6th. And listen, good relay for the Yankees because of that out, it allowed Weathers to come back out in the 7th. His pitch count was starting to get up there, and then that quick out at home to end the inning ended that entire Royals quote-unquote rally, right? And then he came out for the 7th, had a pretty efficient inning, and then was able to come back out in the 8th and get the one more out before he was ultimately taken out of the game for good. So it was just a nice play. You like to see defensive plays when it's not Judge either, right? I mean, we're so used to seeing Judge being the guy just throwing everybody out from right field. It was nice to see Grisham get involved in center field and throwing him out at home, through the relay, of course.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what's going on with Cole Ragans. I mean, you mentioned it last year. He was not very good, but he did deal with a lot of injuries. Had the best strikeout percentage among starters in baseball last year, which I didn't know through 13 starts. 38% strikeout rate, which is just incredible. The year before that, the ALDS year, like you mentioned, had a 30% strikeout rate. This year, that thing's down to a 24%. His walk rate is 20% this year, and you just mentioned that. We saw that very clearly yesterday. So just not working right now. And they do have good starters outside of him, right? He doesn't need to be the ace because they got guys like Bubich, who we missed. Seth Lugo's been really good. Michael Wacha, as you mentioned. Noah Cameron obviously gets pooped on by us a little bit. But yeah, I think they're going to figure it out. That's another team that I would invest in a little bit. I need to see a little bit more before I put my words there. But yeah, I mean, the Yankees played a great series, beat up on a bad team, and that's what you need to do. You need to beat up on the bad ones. Bad for now. We'll see how they shake out. But yeah, need to crush the bad teams.
Totally agree, especially when you split a series against a team like the Angels where it was back and forth, nice rebound to come back. And we talked, Andrew, too, in that video with the Angels series, how the 5-2 mark was still on the table if the Yankees swept this weekend, and they did, right? So they kind of met at least where you and I were both looking for them to be through that 7-game stretch at 5-2. Obviously, you would want it to be 3 of 4 from the Angels, 2 of 3 from the Royals. Like that would be the preferred way, I suppose, but you'll take it any way you can get. To go back to Cole Ragans for a second, you mentioned his percentages on the walk rate this year being 20, what'd you say, 20%, 22%? It's pretty bad.
Terrible.
His ratio on the season is 22 strikeouts to 18 walks. I mean, it's pretty piss poor. And that's with, Andrew, if you take out, he had 1 start against the Twins. It was his 2nd start of the year where he went 6 innings. He had 8 strikeouts and 1 walk. You take that outing out of this equation, he now is at 14 strikeouts and 17 walks through 5 starts. Like that's outside of 1 start against the Twins. That's a bigger sample size than 1 start. It's pretty atrocious.
I thought you were reading off my high school pitching stats for a second. That is crazy. There's a reason I'm watching Cole Ragans pitch and not doing it myself. But I mean, his barrel percentage is bad too. I mean, he's giving up barrels on 18% of the time. So
6 home runs too.
That. Yeah, go look at that Baseball Savant page. That thing is freaking cold blue. I mean, not great. Not great. A lot of time to fix that though. I mean, those things change, especially now in April, like every day. He has one good start next week. Who knows? Some of those might be pretty red, but yeah, not what you want to see at all.
Now, Andrew, one more thing before we move on from Cole Ragans,
Sure.
just because I found this so funny. I'm looking at his starts. Again, you used to pitch.
Yep.
How funky of a stat line is this, right? Against Detroit. So this was his start before his start against the Yankees on Sunday. So his most recent start before yesterday. 6 innings, 1 hit, no runs, right? And you're going, wow, really, really good. 4 walks, 1 strikeout.
Yeah.
Like it just how like I guess the Tigers are just not great.
Hits with walks, I guess, you know.
It's just yeah. And the Royals lost 2-1 for anyone wondering in that game, but just it's just I can't. It's tough because his walk to strikeout ratio stinks, but sometimes he has games teams just can't hit the ball. But anyway, yeah, Reagan's now on the year 0-4. He's lost 4 of his 6 starts this year. He's been credited with a loss, I should say.
Yeah.
6 ERA, 1.67 WHIP. So just not what you want to see from a guy that was supposed to have a ton of potential. And you mentioned his strikeout rate last year. It's funny because I had one of the guys in our league is John. He was wanted to trade for him so badly because he had a lot of faith in that strikeout percentage. But my dumbass just wanted to hold on to him because I thought the same thing. Like, oh, it's early. Like, it's just, he's struggling. The strikeout numbers are there, and it just never put it together. And then he got hurt, and then that was it. So, before we get to the Red Sox series, though, Andrew, I think this is a big topic of discussion because it kind of came to fruition this weekend. We got a bigger sample now, right?
I think I know where
Ben Rice against lefties this year in 17 at bats, 20 plate appearances. So obviously those 3 walks kind of negate that difference there. 353 average, 3 homers, 3 runs batted in. He struck out just 6 times compared to the 3 walks, 450 on base, and a 1.332 OPS, which is higher than his numbers against the righties. And now, again, smaller sample size in terms of at-bats. But for this whole discussion about platoon player this, platoon player that, I think Boone finally gave Rice a weekend where he wasn't, quote-unquote, platoon guy. Yes, Goldschmidt got in on Sunday, but if you remember, Ben Rice DH'd, right? Stanton got the day off, so he kept him in. I mean, you cannot bench this guy. It's as simple as that. And the numbers show it this year.
Yeah, I think Stanton kind of saved Boone's bacon a little bit on Sunday, playing so bad this series that like he kind of had to just be like, all right, you get an off day, let's put in Ben Rice, because how hard was that decision to bench Giancarlo Stanton against a lefty, even when he's struggling? So I think we got a little lucky there. But yes, thank God. I mean, this is incredible. And he got another question too that like pissed me off before this series where he was like, or I think it was even after the Saturday game when he hit a homer. He's like, yeah, Ben Rice can pound lefties. He's one of the better hitters in baseball right now. And then the reporter was like, well, does that make him like not a platoon player? Is he going to be an everyday starter against lefties? And he's like, well, I'll pick my spots. I'll see where I got guys, doing this, doing that. So it's like, okay. So I'm thankful that he did that. A homer in 4 straight games now for Ben Rice. Unfortunately, not going to be a homer today. That's a lock. Bet that he's not going to hit a homer today. I promise. But yeah, 2 of them against lefties. It's there's no bigger Ben Rice fan than me. Dylan knows I send all the memes in the group chats as soon as it happens, annoy all my Mets friends and all that. So best 22 in New York, shout out. But yeah, he's been so good. It's unbelievable. I mean, I don't think he can keep up this pace because I don't think anybody's really been able to keep up this pace. But if he just sits at a high 9 OPS guy all year, I mean, that's just going to be such a great addition to this lineup, especially with Bellinger getting hot and now Judge getting back to where he's been. And with Stanton still not slugging that much, we know that's going to come eventually. Jazz hasn't done absolutely anything. We know that, or hope that, is going to come eventually. So just all these things, if they had Ben Rice with the high 9 OPS last year, I mean, they already had the best offense in baseball without that. I mean, add that to the lineup. It's just going to be so valuable. I think he's going to win our third, not to get ahead of ourselves, I think he's going to win our 3rd MVP of the series already this year.
Right.
Crazy stuff. Just crazy stuff.
Yeah, here's your baseball savant. For anyone wondering, when Andrew mentions bubbles for however long this show is going to go for this year and for however long afterwards, for anyone that's wondering what Andrew means when he mentions bubbles, this is what he's referring to. Baseball savant. They track stats for everyone's year of their career, right? the red is where you want to be. You want to be in the red, that's for sure. And it'll kind of take us through these numbers here.
Yeah, I mean, so just you can look at the left too, and it shows you the total stats. And before I look too in depth into all of this, I mean, look, he's got a 1.276 OPS this season, right? And you look at last season, he had an 836. You want to flip to his bubbles last season, Dylan?
Sure.
Look at that.
Didn't really change all that much.
This was predictable. Okay, we saw it. Okay, people that look at this stuff, they said, "Holy crap! Like he's getting unlucky." I mean, his you can look at some of the expecting batting average last year. Can you read that number? It's a little small for me. What does that say? 283. What did he end up with? A 255. His expected numbers 30 points higher. His expected slug almost 60 points higher last year, right? And now he's kind of playing to that baseball card a little bit. And if you could switch back to this year, I can go over some of those numbers that I think is really good to see. I think something that the Yankees struggle with a lot is these big sluggers. They chase a lot. They don't walk a lot. Look at those guys. I mean, obviously Aaron Judge does that. So, but that's Aaron Judge. It's literally the best hitter in baseball. High walk percentage, high chase percentage. Not high chase percentage, high percentile chase percentage, which means low chase percentage. His
Right.
K percentage is down this year. It was better last year. He was striking out less. But yeah, I mean, this is exactly what you want to see. That launch angle sweet spot, that's where you want to be. That's where all the home runs are going to come from, making sure you get at the launch angle correctly. Your barrel percentage is top of the league 22% of the time you're barreling the ball. But yeah, this was predictable. I mean, for all the people that look at these numbers, we saw the stuff last year and we said, is there any way this like possibly continues again? Like there's no way, right? And thankfully it's coming to fruition a little bit. But yeah, I mean, look at those bubbles, man. Yeah, anytime I mention the bubbles, Dylan's correct. That's what I'm referring to.
This is what he's referring to. It's called a website called Baseball Savant. And now just to kind of throw some shade at Boone, even Baseball Savant knows what a platoon is, a platoon player. Yeah. So you can see these are where we're getting his numbers too from against righties and lefties. So yeah, he's had a lot more at bats against the right side. So obviously there's going to be more production there. But in terms of the home run numbers, right? I mean, look at that. It's hard to highlight just that, but look at 5 home runs to 3 in a third of the at bats, right? And the OPS is better against lefties. The slugging's better against lefties. In that limited sample size, the average is better against lefties. So the walk to strikeout ratio is the same, which is nice to see against righties. And it's the difference of 3 against lefties. So, I mean, listen, Ben Rice has been a fantastic, there's no other way to put it. He's been a fantastic player. I mean, there's no doubt about it to start this year. The question is, can he keep it up? I mean, realistically, no. But at the same time, do I expect him to just fall off a cliff? No. Like, I don't think he's going to all of a sudden just like disappear for a month or like a couple weeks and like kind of like Stanton, right? Where he's like, all right, we got to give him an off day. He's just not hitting the ball. I don't think we're going to get that. I really don't.
I mean, towards the back half of that game yesterday, they were pitching around him. I mean, it's kind of gotten to that point. We even saw last year in the playoffs when Goldschmidt would start, and obviously Boone was looking for a way to get Ben Rice into the game in a pinch hit scenario. Like the Red Sox were doing everything they can to not let that happen. They were kept putting lefties in there, even having bad matchups with lefties because they just didn't want to face Ben Rice. So we saw it a little bit last year. Obviously, I don't know his second half stats last year. I can look more into that, but it felt like he was kind of starting to play to those Baseball Savant numbers a little bit in the second half. Definitely living up to those bubbles a little bit. But yeah, I mean, this was, again, I'm going to have a graphic going out today of him standing on a globe with his #1 slugging and #1 OPS in baseball, which I made that graphic to post on Saturday, but then Yordan Alvarez decided to hit a home run as soon as I was finishing up. So he took over those stats a little bit. But yeah, just it brings a smile to my face, man. I've been telling people about Ben Rice. A lot of people have been telling people about Ben Rice. So it's nice to see that this is becoming kind of a national conversation now.
And again, this is a homegrown guy. The Yankees brought him, through the farm system, and we had this discussion, last episode, talking about trying to sign him long term. At this point, I still stand where I stand on that, but again, we don't know if Yankees have reached out to his agency about that. Right. So we're not going to sit here and say the Yankees should get on it because they might have already tried, and Ben Rice might be like, "Nah, I'm good." But to kind of get off of that discussion, that topic. If you're in any conversation with Yordan Alvarez as a left-handed hitter in this day and age of baseball, like I think you're doing something right? Even if Ben Rice is playing second fiddle to Yordan Alvarez for OPS and slugging, like I think everyone in baseball knows how good of a hitter Yordan Alvarez is. And if you're a Yankee fan out there, you're watching and you're still not believing in Ben Rice, I don't know how I can help you. I really don't, because I don't know how much more you need to see out of the guy, right? And at the same thing, I don't think fans are probably thinking that. They probably are just on Boone, like, start this guy every day. And I can't necessarily blame him. I really can't.
Yeah.
He's selling tickets, I'm sure. Like, I'm sure people are going to be like, all right, Ben Rice, go see this guy play. And then he's not in the lineup. It's like, well, why am I coming?
Yeah.
Obviously, Aaron Judge is selling tickets, but I imagine people want to go see this guy play too, right? I mean, he's a part of the equation now.
Yeah, I guess the only thing I don't like that I'm seeing out of him is a little bit of a higher strikeout percentage this year. He's at a 25. It was at 18 last year, which was above average. If he could kind of swing that in the right direction, I mean, it'd be hard to like. I mean, I don't want to get ahead of myself, but if he does that, it'd be hard to not at least have him in a conversation for some serious awards at the end of the year. And second half last year, 900 OPS. So he started to really flourish in the second half.
Mhm.
Still had like an 800 OPS in the first half. So if that was the player he became, I'm sure we all would have been very happy with that. But now we're kind of getting a taste that he might be one of the better left-handed hitters this year. So yeah, it's a good taste to have in your mouth. Let's hope it stays there.
So I looked before we get into the Red Sox series. I'm just curious to see if there will be any lefties that they'll put out there, because when I looked yesterday on MLB, their app, for the 3 games, it said that the Boston pitchers were all to be determined.
Yes.
So when we get to that segment, I will check back and see if that has been since updated, because we can continue this conversation to see if maybe he gets plugged into the lineup again, or if, Boone decides to go the Stanton Goldschmidt route, once like we've seen before. We'll have that discussion in just a bit. Before we move on from this Royals series for good, let's get to our series MVPs. Last week, you went first in choosing the MVP, so I'll go first this week. I chose Ahmed Rosario, and you chose Giancarlo Stanton. We both had the same reason. A lot of lefties in this series. They're at 2 out of the 3 games, the Yankees were going to face a lefty starter. So we figured that they would both get a good amount of time in the lineup. Ahmed Rosario got 2 games. Stanton got 2 games. So they were both benched one of the games. But Ahmed Rosario did have a 3-run home run, or did he have a 3-run shot? He did, right? I knew it was a home run and 3 RBIs. I just forget if it was a 3-run shot or.
I don't think it was. I think it was a 2-run shot. But yeah,
2-run shot. Okay.
In the game.
He had 3 RBIs in the game, went 2 for 5. That was the Saturday game where just the entire offense was doing super, super well. Unfortunately, I don't think he was the series MVP. It's hard to do it when you only play 2 games. And so now I go to 0-6. This is difficult to choose, man, because it's just, you could pick, like, I could pick Ahmed this video and then he'll be the series MVP in Boston, right? It's just,
you're telling me. I feel like I should lose another point. I don't think Stanton had a hit in the series.
Yeah, he got,
your
and
pick
he was
a lot
benched,
better than mine.
and he was benched for poor performance, for a little rest there, but it's all good. So my pick, we've been talking about him at length. Ben Rice, he had a fantastic series. He had a home run in every game of the series. We mentioned 4 straight games for him. That dates back to the last game against the Angels on that Thursday. He had 3 home runs, 4 runs batted in. He earned 4 walks, hit 400. So Ben Rice is continuing to swing the bat super well. And that's with facing 2 lefties this weekend, which was the big topic of discussion. Can he face lefties? Is he a platoon guy? And we just had that discussion. And he's really showing Boone, like, hey, I'm an everyday guy. Put me in this damn lineup. Like, I'm tired of sitting on the bench and waiting until the 7th inning to get my at bat because of a lefty starter. Like, I'm not. My performance is not contingent on who's starting. So I was really pleased to see what we saw in Ben Rice this weekend, and hopefully this turns the tide for Boone in his decision making that Ben Rice now should be in the lineup every game. Obviously, unless it's like a rest day. If he plays 6 games a week out of 7, like, I'm fine with that. But at the same time, I think we're done with this whole platoon thing. So it was nice to see.
In my opinion, it should start to get to the point where we're like, wow, like Paul Goldschmidt really, he's kind of still on our team. Like, I think we need to get to that point. I don't know how close we are to that. Obviously, after this week, I think we're a ton closer. Because I do think, for as much as people say, yeah, we want Ben Rice in the lineup, I did need to see it a little bit against lefties. So I'm glad he did show that, because yes, like 750 OPS against lefties last year, that is not bench worthy. And I'm sure the Yankees look at those numbers and they know those numbers. That's not bench worthy to me. But I did want to see him maybe become more of a complete hitter so that there was no discussion. And I'm glad he's making it a pretty silent discussion right now.
So we'll go to you now, Andrew, for your series MVP.
So for my series MVP, I'm going to go with the guy that I picked in the beginning, Giancarlo Stanton, 0 for 9 in the series. No, I'm going to go with Cody Bellinger, who really seemingly kind of burst onto the scene. I think Aaron Boone made a joke that, like, between spring training and this season going into Saturday's game, he had 2 home runs, and then he has 2 home runs in the matter of like an hour. So that was really cool to see. But yeah, Dylan puts it on the screen there. 455 average in the series, 2 home runs, a double, 5 RBIs, 3 walks. I think he only had 1 strikeout, had like a 1.6 OPS in the series. So just slugging, taking advantage of that short porch. There was a funny clip too where he hit a ball and he thought he absolutely mashed it. Now it was a home run, but it was like a first row home run, and he didn't even know that it was a first row home run until he got back to the dugout, and somebody told him, and he had a pretty good reaction to that. He was like, "Wow, I thought I crushed that," and someone told me it was first row, so that was cool. But yeah, just that's another bet that we need to see start to get going. I would love to give Jazz like an MVP this series if that's possible. I would love to give Giancarlo Stanton an MVP. I'd love to just keep these guys rolling. Right? We saw Trent Grisham slow start. Now he's kind of pushing the needle a little bit. We saw Aaron Judge slow start. He's getting there. Now Bellinger slow start, and now he's getting there. So let's wait for the next guy. But yeah, Cody Bellinger, my series MVP.
It's a great pick, and I failed to realize how well he actually hit in terms of the average. I didn't realize it was a 455 back when I was thinking about who to pick. It's just hard to pass up on the 3 straight homers in the series, and Ben Rice just being the electric factory guy, and so. But it's a solid pick for going second. Like, I arguably he had a better series than Rice, and I would own up to that just now looking at some of these numbers. And it was a great series, and it's from a guy that we need to get going too, right? They give him a big contract in the offseason, and he wasn't having a horrible season, but it wasn't a great start by any means. And he had the nice flashy catch earlier in the season that we all remember, where he like bobbled it and caught it on the way down. But other than that, he didn't really have any like big moments. And so the game on Saturday where he hit 2 home runs and really just kind of splashed onto the scene and had a really good series, it was nice to see. It was very refreshing. And you mentioned Jazz and Giancarlo hopefully trying to get a series MVP sometime soon. I'm just looking at these numbers, man. I don't know if you know off the top of your head their strikeout to walk ratios, but I'll combine the two.
I almost don't even want to know.
I'm going to tell you anyway, because it's just so staggering. If you had to take a guess from if you were to combine both their strikeout and walk numbers together, what do you think that ratio would be?
Can you give me one hint? Can I get the combined games played between the two of them?
Sure. So they've played combined 41 games. It's a 21-20 split, and they each they each have 75 at bats roughly.
Okay. Stanton 100% has been walking more than Jazz. That has to be true. You think 75 at bats? God. I think they're probably both striking out a third of the time. So I'll say 25 strikeouts to 10 walks.
Combined?
Yeah.
What if I told you Jazz had 26 strikeouts himself? And what if I told you Stanton had 24 himself? And what if I told you Jazz was walking more than Stanton?
Then you just embarrassed me. Hold on.
It's not an embarrassment. It's an embarrassment on them.
Did they have 75 combined at bats between the two of them?
No, they each have 75.
Oh, okay.
Stanton has 75 and Jazz has 73.
Okay, so my math was wrong because I thought in total they had 75.
Oh, sorry. No.
Sense. But okay, so they both do strike out a third of the time. But yeah, that surprises me that Jazz. Holy crap!
I mean,
Jazz
it's not
walking more than Stanton.
It's not much more. It's only 3 more walks. It's a combined 40 strikeouts and 15 walks.
Wow,
it's terrible.
That's no bueno. I'm okay with that from Stanton because I know what Stanton will do. Jazz, you got to be a little more bat the ball, man. A little bit more.
All right, Jazz at a 498 OPS, Stanton all the way down to a 656. You remember the start of the year he had where he was just not really getting extra base hits, but he was just slapping singles here and there, right? It seemed like every game he was starting out in that multi-hit streak with 6 games, and now his average is down to 240. So just, yeah, it has not been desirable. But yeah, it jumped out to me, those numbers, just looking. And the reason I'm on this page was not even to look at their numbers. It was to ask you a question, another one, but this one in a more positive light. Unless you're looking at the numbers now. Let me know now if you're looking at their season stats.
I'm looking at Jazz specifically. I just stumbled upon Jazz.
That's fine.
Baseball Savant page. I wouldn't look at that thing.
Okay, that's fine. My next question was going to be this. Okay.
Yep.
Who is third on the team in runs batted in? Who do you think? So I think you could probably figure out who 1 and 2 are. That's why I didn't give you those two
Judge and Rice.
names.
Yes, those are in my head.
Okay, so
So
then who would be number 3?
you know what? And I think you set me up here, but I think number 3 is in the lower left-hand corner of the screen right now.
I wish he was. He's not.
Oh, shit.
I
I
wish
thought
he
I nailed that.
I wish he
Okay, hold
was.
on, hold on. Third, I gotta think a little. I can't be. Could it be Bellinger? Could be Bellinger, 5 RBI. Yeah, I'll go Bellinger.
That is incorrect. It is actually, despite what many people think has been a slow start for the guy, not worth his qualifying offer. It's Trent Grisham,
Oh,
14.
Trent Grisham.
Guy
Wow.
batting 167, has 14 runs batted in. Talk about a guy who just gets the hits when there's guys on. That seemingly is it.
Feels like the 4th, 6th, 7 of the episodes. So
I
that's a
know.
good
I'm
thing
sorry.
too. Where are Bellinger and Rosario at? Was I like way off?
They're right behind him. Bellinger's at 11, Stanton has 10, and Rosario has 9. So I mean, they're all close. But I just thought that was kind of surprising because the conversation with Grisham has been, at least the start of the year, right? It's just been, he's not worth the 22 million. What were they thinking? Why would they offer him that? And he had the pinch hit home run against was that the Angels, Romano, right, to tie it up in the 9th.
Yeah.
So it just seemingly looks like, although the average is not where you want it to be, that low, but it seems like whenever he gets on or gets up when there's guys on base, he just comes through in the clutch. 3 homers, 14 runs batted in, and his walk to strikeout ratio is in the net positive. 15 walks, 14 strikeouts. So it just, he's not struggling in that sense where he's just swinging and missing at everything. It just, maybe his outs are just being put in play right where people are. But I just thought that was kind of interesting because when I saw that, I was thinking to myself, for a guy that's been talked about a lot, struggling and not worth this $22 million paycheck, for to be third in runs batted in right now, when he normally bats leadoff too, it's not really a spot where you're known for getting runs batted in. Like, that's kind of nice to see.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, I stumbled now on his Baseball Savant page. That is not what I thought it was going to be, given his slow start. He's got a lot of red on that page. The only thing that's struggling is his launch angle, which if he can kind of fix that, he's in the 9th percentile. If he can get that more of a consistent, like, home run like launch angle, he's gonna be pretty scary because he's hitting the ball hard. He's not chasing. He's not striking out. Yeah, that's awesome. That's I'm glad I went 0 for 2 because that makes me feel better about the current state of the Yankees that Trent Grisham is slugging.
Yeah, let's look at his page real quick. I know I'll zoom in a second. But yeah, I mean, compared to the Rice one that we showed earlier, it's not as red, but there is still quite a bit of red on this page. Right? And so,
yeah, and the only 2 things that are blue, and look at that expected batting average, by the way, it's almost at 250 and he's at 167, so almost 100
right.
points. It's supposed to be 100 points higher, but that bat speed, like, that's not going to change. Like, his bat speed is his bat speed. I mean, that's what it was last year, so he performed well with that bat speed. So that really shouldn't be much of a factor. And again, like I mentioned, the launch angle sweet spot is the only thing. That means basically for all those people out there that was like, "Whoa, what's launch? What is this?" There's a certain there's certain launch angles that are considered the sweet spot, right? And I think it's in between. I forget what like 8 and 32 degrees or something like that. So if you're hitting him at that angle, that's the sweet spot because those are where the line drives come. Those are where the home runs come, anywhere in between those angles. So right now, he's just not hitting him at that angle right now, but he's hitting the ball hard. You see, he's not chasing, he's not striking out, and he's walking a ton, which means, hey, if he starts getting in between that angle a little bit more, you're going to see more extra base hits. You're going to see more homers. So yeah, this is beautiful to see. Beautiful.
I have a question for you though. What's the difference between the sweet spot that you just mentioned and the squared up? Because the squared up is at 100, and in my opinion, when you think squared up, you're thinking barrel, right? Like, he's barreling up these pitches, and maybe the launch angle is not up where it's, he's hitting balls out of the park, but it's more just like line drives, low liners, or maybe just ground balls that he's just putting in the dirt, but he's barreling them up.
Squared up is a little bit of a confusing one because I agree. When you first see that, you're
Right.
thinking, oh, that's just him like barreling the ball. Squared up is more based on how fast the pitch is coming, how fast you swing the bat, and then how fast the ball's leaving based on that. So he has a low bat speed. So basically, when he hits for a higher velo, that's going to make it a higher squared up percentage because the ratio of bat speed to exit velocity is a lot higher because he has a low bat speed and a high exit velocity. That's squared up. What you're looking for is more like barrel percentage or hard hit
I got you.
percentage. That's more hitting like the center of the bat. But yeah, that squared up percentage is all about pitch speed, bat speed, and exit
Okay.
velocity.
Now
Yep.
let's look at real quick before we get to the Red Sox series. I promise we'll get there. Just want to look at last year to give you something to kind of compare it to, right? Because this was the year that earned in that $22 million paycheck this year. And you can see a lot of the stats that we were just looking at are kind of in the same ballpark, right? That expected batting average of 250-ish, right? Uh,
Mhm.
you can see that the squared up percentage is higher this year. The chase percentage is pretty high. His walk percentage, I believe 96. It's the same this year. So and his hard hit percentage is higher this year. His sweet spot numbers and the bat speed numbers are what's a little different this year.
Yeah,
A little
but
lower.
that sweet spot percentage last year was in the 50s, and this year it's in the single digits. So that I think that's going to go up. I told you the bat speed's going to remain constant. I mean, that's his bat speed, unless he's like really focusing in the offseason on increasing his bat speed, which the Yankees are known to do. They do have some fast swingers. But yeah, I think the one big jump that I see there, I mean, he's in the 36th percentile in K percentage last year. He's in the 74th this year, only striking out 17% of the time this year, which is
Yeah.
well above league average. So with his eye and the way he walks, if he's actually like not striking out at a nice rate, that's gonna be huge, really huge.
Yeah. So, all right. So Trent Grisham, keep an eye out on him. He's been playing, I mean, average wise, not great, but other than that,
Yeah.
he's been playing pretty well this year. The numbers suggest it in terms of projecting what it should be.
Thanks for tuning into our nerd segment.
There you go, nerd segment.
Suffering
Listen,
through that.
listen. Now we're trying to inform people too that watch that maybe not don't know about baseball savant. It's very helpful to project where guys will go and not to get too
Yeah.
hasty on what you're seeing in the now. It's very projectionist, so it's good. You could see kind of where these guys are trending. So again, if you're looking for the Yankees to trade for somebody, what I will say is check out their baseball savant page first, and then you can kind of see if the numbers with the bubbles are matching up, or if not, you can see some potential. And I bet you Ryan Weathers' page, I'm not going to look at it now because we've been doing too much. We have to get to this Red Sox series, but I bet you the Ryan Weathers page is probably similar in terms of like certain spots where the Yankees thought they could really exploit some of his skill sets in terms of strikeout percentage, chase rate, that kind of stuff. And you look at that stuff and you can see the kind of pitcher that he should be. So it's a very helpful website, very helpful tool. I know you've been using it for a while. Okay, so let's get to this Red Sox series. And again, I haven't double checked to see if anything is updated pitching wise for the Red Sox, but when I last looked at this, they were all to be determined for the whole series, which is unfortunate because I like to talk about who the Yankees could face. It definitely helps us when it comes to picking series MVP picks and our predictions. We'll see if that's since changed. But we do know for the Yankees, they've been sticking to this consistent 5-man rotation. It'll be Heel tomorrow night. It'll be Max Fried in game 2, and then Cam Schlittler to close things out in game 3 in his return to Boston. And that's a huge topic of discussion there too, Andrew. We've been talking about it. He is active on Twitter and social media, and he has been hearing it nonstop from Boston fans ever since his historic start in the playoffs last year in the wild card to clinch the wild card for the Yankees against the Boston Red Sox. And he is a guy from Massachusetts. He's a local guy, went to Northeastern, which is up in that area. He grew up a Red Sox fan, kind of like Ben Rice, but the other way around. He grew up in Boston, was a Yankee guy. So you have a couple guys on this team, Andrew, that grew up in that area. One was a Red Sox fan, one was a Yankee fan, both now on the Yankees. And it just seemingly has been a back and forth feud between mainly Schlittler and the Boston Red Sox community. So it should be a fun one, game 3.
Yeah, and Schlittler had a pretty badass quote about all that because he's been this week especially receiving all sorts of flack from the Red Sox faithful. He's going to make his first career start in Boston on Wednesday, or Thursday, which I'm just freaking absolutely pumped about. I'm trying to pull up the quote right now. He said, "You think after last time how much they were talking before that they might be trying to quiet it down a little bit." It's a badass quote. Now, for sure, make him quiet it down. I'm so excited for that start. I mean, in his first career postseason start, 12 strikeouts against the Yankees' arch rival, a team that he grew up watching, a team that he grew up loving, a team that kind of turned their back on him, talking crap, bringing his parents into it last year, bringing his mom into it last year, made it personal. Which, look, I mean, sports is sports, but I do think there's a line that needs to be drawn with a lot of this stuff. So he says he's receiving death threats and all that, which is just, so unnecessary, especially from a fan base that like he once rooted for. I mean, not that they're going to cheer for a Yankees pitcher. I understand that, but you don't need to go, full berserk. With all that stuff on social media. But yeah, super, super excited for that start. A little unfortunate that we don't get to necessarily preview for certain who's going to be going against the Yankees pitching wise. We can say for certain they're going to miss Garrett Crochet, which I think is
Yes.
awesome. He pitched yesterday. I mean, it
What
depends
I
who
will
you
say is
ask. He's been struggling quite a bit.
I got offered a trade for him in fantasy for Brian Wu straight up from a certain somebody in our league. Safe to say, I said no pretty quickly. I just don't want anything to deal with that. I've already had guys last year with Reagan specifically where I just held on to them thinking that they would turn into something. Sometimes it just ain't their year, and I'm not to say that Crochet is not gonna lock back in and figure it out. But when I got Brian Wu, right, there's no point in messing that up. He's been pretty solid. I am looking now at the series. It looks like it's going to be Connolly early in game 1 tomorrow for the Red Sox, which would be a lefty,
Yep.
24 years old. So he's a young guy. This is his rookie season. This year in 4 starts, he's pitched 19 and 2/3, 20 strikeouts. And, or maybe this isn't his rookie year. He might have played another year, but he's 1-0 with
he played like last year was like his first year.
Yeah, you're right. He did play last year.
Half of last year.
Right. He so kind of like Schlittler started like 4 games last year, and now he's back on the team this year in 4 starts. He's got a 2.29 ERA, so pretty low. Last year was a 2.23 or 2.33, so it's pretty comparable. So another lefty. The discussion then continues. Andrew, do we see Ben Rice in the lineup on Tuesday?
I say yes. I think you have to. Would I be shocked if they don't? Like, no. But yeah,
See,
I think you absolutely have to. I think you have to. Yeah.
That's my question, Andrew. At this point, I think we should start being shocked, right?
I guess especially coming off an off day too, because you can't even claim that's like, okay, he's going to get a day off. Like he just had a day off. Yeah, I'd be pretty shocked at this point, I guess.
Because at some point, right, the conversation has to become, I'm pretty shocked he's not in there, right? You can understand the rationale. It doesn't mean that you have to agree with it. You can still be shocked and disagree. And that's where I'm at, where I can understand what they're trying to sell me on. I'm just not buying it. So it will be Connolly early on that the first game of the series. I'm trying to see, okay, why did it bring me to a ticket website? That's not helpful. I'm trying to see who they would be playing on the Tuesday game, or the Wednesday game.
Yeah, I think for Connolly early, we saw him last year in the playoffs. People talk about that Cam Schlittler start. He was on the other end of that.
Right.
And he kind of pitched to what we kind of thought those rookie pitchers were going to do, like he was like the 4 innings, 3 earned runs kind of guy, which like if Cam Schlittler did that, we all would have been like, okay, he's a rookie. Like that's actually a good start in a playoff game, right? So Connolly early has faced us before in a big spot. Cam Schlittler obviously stole the show. But yeah, I would be pretty shocked if they don't. And I say that because like I feel like we've gone from platoon to like the total other end of that. I mean, he was he was at DH, starting against a lefty, leading off yesterday.
Right.
He wasn't like buried at 5th or 6th in the lineup. He was leading off against a lefty. So I don't know. I can't believe like that it was that quickly that they made that 360 turnaround where not only was he starting against a lefty, but he was leading off against a lefty. So yes, you're correct. I correct myself. I think I would be pretty shocked.
Yeah.
I'd be pretty shocked.
And I'm looking now ahead. It's going to be Rangers Suarez on Wednesday. So another lefty, right? We're talking about like at this point, if you sit Rice the first game, you're going to throw him into the fire against Suarez on the next day, or you're going to sit him both games. It doesn't make much sense to me. I think you'd rather him face early, kind of see the lefty action to be prepared for Suarez. And then on Thursday in the series finale, it'll be Schlittler versus Brian Bayo. Which would be a right-handed hitter that has had some success against the Yankees in recent years.
Not bad.
Despite his numbers, if you look at he's not a great pitcher, but he just seemingly has pitched pretty well against the Yankees.
Yeah, I want to say this now. I want to warn you so that you don't get too upset on Wednesday. I think they're going to sit Ahmed Rosario against a lefty on Wednesday because I think they'd rather have McMahon's defense at third base with Max Fried pitching, who allows the most ground balls to third base in the league. I think that is going to be the play. I'm just warning you, getting out ahead of it so you don't get all worked up on Wednesday. Well, you could still get worked up, just know it's coming. I think that's going to happen.
I appreciate some foresight because you are right. I will react accordingly. I do question if maybe this is an obvious answer, but I'll pose this question to you. Do we see a similar situation where Stanton gets the bench spot against Suarez and you see a guy like Ahmed Rosario DH?
I think there's more of a chance that they were to bench Jazz than Stanton in my head. And
Okay, so then maybe they put him at
second.
second then. Okay, I could see that actually. All right, so maybe
see
I do get
more
my
of that
wish.
but then again, I don't think so. Like, I think Jazz is going to play all the games. I think Stanton's going to play all the games. I think Rosario is going to start tomorrow. I just don't think Rosario is going to start on Wednesday.
Fair enough. Also, for anyone wondering why I have an asterisk next to the Red Sox record of 8-13, it's because they have a game against the Tigers today around 12 or 1 o'clock, or maybe it's 11 a.m. It's an early game today. But so that record could change. By the time you're looking at this, they could be either 9-13 or 8-14 heading into this series on Tuesday. So just wanted to clear the air on that. But yeah, the Red Sox have not had a great start to the year. 8-13. We mentioned Crochet really just not having his stuff at this point in the season, which, I mean, again, we're still in April, so there's still a lot of time for him to figure it out.
Yes.
But you don't like to see the start he had against Minnesota. I mean, from a Yankee standpoint, you love to see it, but in terms of just from his point of view, that start he had against the Twins, I think he gave up like 8 or 9 runs in the first 2 innings. Like, that's just not the Garrett Crochet that we're used to seeing.
No, it's not, and it's like nice to see. But yeah, this feels to me, and the more I'm sitting thinking about this series, feels like a trap series to me.
Oh no,
Yankees are hot, coming off a sweep, 5-2 on the homestand. They're playing the worst team in the American League East. Boston's struggling. I don't know, man. It smells like a funky series to me. It smells like Boston's just gonna, like, for some reason, become the best team in baseball the next 3 games. I don't know. That's what it feels like to me. It stinks. Like, even if Garrett Crochet was pitching in this series with as bad as he's been pitching, feels like he would eat shutty. Just
probably
feels like that would still happen.
Probably. Yeah.
So I'm almost happy to avoid him, even though he's been struggling. Like, how could you not be? It's like, even if Tariq Schoolball had a bad first 3 weeks, you still don't want to face Tariq Schoolball. So
yeah, right.
Yeah, I'm interested for this series. I got a big graphic going out tomorrow that I spent a lot of time on. I'm hopeful that they won't completely make that graphic look embarrassing. But I think they win the series because I do think they're just a better team. But who knows? How many times do we face Chapman in the series? If we don't face Chapman in the series, I'm very, very happy. I'll tell you that. Very happy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they should realistically get the win against Bayo on Wednesday with Schlittler going and all that.
You would think.
You would expect Schlittler to have a good outing. The first game I mentioned against Connolly early, I think that's a big one. You can kind of set the tone. I know he's had a decent start to the year, 2.29 average or ERA, excuse me. It's a good start through four starts for him. So if they can kind of pounce on him, set the tone, win game 1, and you have your guy in Max Fried, who I forget the term, Andrew. Was he the stopper? What do you call it?
Yeah, that's what they call him, the stopper. I mean, after
the stopper. Okay, so I had it right. So I mean, not to say that they should lose game 1, but he should give you a very good start in game 2, and then it could come down to just game 3, who wins that series. Anything can happen. And yeah, the Red Sox are viewed. I mean, don't forget, this team did make the playoffs last year. They're still getting their footing. They're 8-13, and their best starter is not good, right? So you figure if he's been on his game, maybe they have a similar record as the Yankees right now through 4 starts. Maybe you flip 4 of those games into wins. So they're not at a Mets spot right now where they just can't do anything. The Red Sox have been able to put together some wins, so we'll see what they can do. Should be interesting. I want to look at their ABS numbers though, Andrew. This is something that I want to start doing every series, as you mentioned. Again, entering today because they have another game today, so those numbers could change. But the thing that stood out to me was when you look at these numbers, they're very low in attempts, and for pitching, they're very low in percentage. So they're not going to really. I don't anticipate them challenging a ton this series, which could be huge. Like we've seen all around the MLB, teams like yesterday. I think it was the Angels against Mason Miller. There were 2 or 3 pitches that were balls or like questionable pitches that they did not challenge in the 9th inning with an out or 2 outs, no one on, down a run or whatever it was. And I think your coworker, Swilly, actually, I saw her on Twitter. She was saying, like, why are we not challenging these pitches? Like, what are you holding on to them for? I kind of look at the Red Sox as a team like that where they just might not challenge. They just kind of let it go. Like kind of how Judges, like if he just sees ones go by, all right, that's it. It is what So that's kind of where I'm at with them, looking at these numbers. And they're not great. 50% hitting, which is up there, right? But for pitching, what we've talked about should be like a better number. 45% not great, and they just don't challenge a ton.
Yeah, 50% hitting, but only on 12 attempts. This is all pretty shocking for me to see. I mean, this is like the complete opposite of what we've seen so far. Teams are really, really good at challenging pitches defensively, and they're not even doing
No.
it that often. So that's very interesting to see. I feel like the Red Sox like unlock things against us though. Like for the longest time, Trevino was like no one would steal on Trevino, and then the Red Sox found out, well, he actually like can't really throw that well. So then they stole like the most bags in a game against him. They avoided Ben Rice last year because they could see he was freaking absolutely mashing the ball. They just figure things out against the Yankees. So who knows where that ABS is going to land this series? But yeah, it's very interesting to see. Good to know that they don't challenge a lot defensively because that's kind of been pissing me off a little bit. All these
Yeah, they
teams,
do.
catchers
They're
challenge.
not yeah, right. They're not turning favorable counts into favorable counts for them. And you
Yes,
look at the Yankees in terms of attempts batting wise. I mean, compared to Boston, right? 30 to 12. Yeah. I mean, it's
a lot.
night and day difference. And the percentage is, I mean, 3% off between these two, 47% and 50%. So it just goes to show that I mean, it's kind of a similar percentage no matter how many times you end up challenging. You only get two a game. But through what are the Yankees? 13 and 9. So 20 through 22 games, the Yankees have challenged 30 times batting wise, right? They've challenged 18 pitches, which ranks 22nd. So they're kind of on the lower end of that too.
Mhm.
But their percentage is up there, 67%. Another one, Andrew, sorry. Tied for eighth. And again, the batting percentage is what we kind of expected on the lower end of things. But again, the reason, what really stood out to me was Boston's numbers. They just don't challenge, which again, look for in the series. If the Yankees kind of walk away with some calls and the Red Sox don't challenge, if you're sitting there going, why don't they challenge? Because they just don't challenge. I couldn't tell you why. But to your point, Andrew, maybe they kind of figure something out, pick it apart, because it is kind of the Boston way. All right, let's get to the series MVP picks for this series. 0-6, Andrew, you're 2-4. Excuse me. And this is a 3-game set out in Boston, as you know. We kind of just talked about some of the pitching matchups. That's where my head is at. I want to really pick a pitcher here because I just do think that even though we're not seeing Crochet, you mentioned like an 8-inning type of game, and with how Fried and Schlittler have been able to go in terms of length,
Yeah.
and maybe assuming that Heel does not have the greatest of starts tonight, they kind of pick him apart. Say they drop tonight's game or a Tuesday night's game, and they're down 0-1 in the series. Those two guys to finish out the series, Fried and Schlittler, could really catapult them to a series win if it goes that way. I'm predicting. I am going to go with Max Fried as the series MVP because I just think that stopper game 2, I think they lose game 1, the Yankees. I think they just, as you mentioned, Andrew, kind of a trap game. They're a hot team, and they go in with Heel, and he's going to work the bases with some walks. I think the Red Sox get some timely hits. I think they drop game 1. I think game 2 is where the Yankees bounce back, not even so much from an offensive standpoint. I think this is a series where maybe the offense doesn't continue their big splash moments, and it comes down to pitching, which is why I'm picking a pitcher here. And I think Max Fried against the guy in Suarez, which is a big matchup, outperforms Suarez, who is another guy that's known for his longevity in starts. I think both these guys have potential to go 7 innings each. I really do. And I think Max Fried just outduels Suarez to get that stopper game 2 win. And then hand that or tie that in with a game 3 Schlittler just, I'm laying it all out here. You want to talk your shit. I'm going to come out here. I'm going to strike these guys out 10 times. So maybe Schlittler's the play for MVP. I just think a pitcher is what's going to win them this series. And I think Max Fried is the one who's going to turn it around, tie the series up at 1, and kind of hand the keys over to Schlittler for game 3 and just be like, go win the game for us, buddy. So
Yeah, when you said pitcher, I thought for sure you're a storyline guy. You
I am a
love
storyline guy.
you're a big storyline guy. I thought you were definitely going with Schlittler, but Max Fried's going to be a good pick. It probably will work out for you. I'm
It
not
just
going to go
felt
with
it just
pitcher.
felt too obvious for me. I just
Yeah.
like sometimes it just feels too obvious where it's like everyone's going to think that. So I just left it alone.
All right, I respect that. I respect that. I'm going to go with a hitter. This guy has been really, really good. He's really up and coming. People don't really know his name yet. I'm going to go with Aaron Judge. I think he's going to have a big series in Fenway, just because I like the two lefties that he's going to get. Connolly early has been like good. His numbers are good on the surface.
Right.
Gives up a lot of barrels. Gives up a lot of high exit velocity hits. His expected ERA is like in the 5s. So I think they might explode with him on game 1. And then in game 2, obviously, we get another lefty. So a lot of lefties. He's going to face a lot of lefties closing the game. If Chapman's closing the game, it's going to be another lefty. Yeah, I'll take Aaron Judge. Just a guy that honestly has not been getting a lot of hits so far, like singles and doubles, but has hit a lot of home runs. I think 5 of his last 7 hits are home runs. So I'll take the hot hand. Hopefully, he has more of like a complete series. Obviously, home runs are awesome, and that's what Aaron Judge does. But he also can hit for a high average, and we haven't seen that just yet. I think maybe we get a little bit of that in the open Fenway a little bit. So yeah, Aaron Judge, what a pick!
Can't
What a
go wrong
crazy
with
pick.
Aaron Judge.
Aaron Judge and Max Fried. What crazy picks from us?
Listen, I mean,
Both of us.
this is what these guys get paid for. They got to come up in big spots, big series like this. And I think we should note before we sign off, this is the second divisional series, right?
0-3.
0-3, right? Against Tampa. We talked about how big these series are
Yep.
when it comes down the stretch. And this would be big to get a series win. I mean, obviously you want to sweep, but 2 out of 3 where you're just one above each time you play them. It'll come down to that in the standings, you imagine, right? At the end of the year, whether it's with Boston, whether it's with Tampa, Baltimore, you got to get these wins. And the 0-3 hole they put themselves in against Tampa was not a great start. They have a chance to redeem themselves here this week. It will be difficult. It will be on the road again. They still have not played a divisional series at home. They're both on the road. But they have to win this series with that in mind. And they know that these games are important.
Yeah,
So
100%. And I know people look at this, in April, and they look at this record and they're like, oh, the Red Sox maybe not so good this year. I think these wins over the Red Sox are going to be more important than our games against the Rays. Now, I think both are going to be important. I think the Red Sox and the Yankees are going to be the 2 teams in the end for the AL East. Maybe the Blue Jays are there too. Who knows? I think any of the teams can really be there, but I put a lot of stock into the Red Sox. I think they're a really good team. I just think they've fallen on bad times right now. But yeah, I think these wins are important for me because I do think that these are the 2 teams that are going to be standing on top of the AL East when it's all said and done.
all right, now just a prediction before we sign off. How many games? How do you project this series to go? Who wins the series? How many games?
I think the Yankees win 2 of 3. I think they win the first. Oh, man. I don't want to bet again. I don't know. I think they win the first one. I like that matchup against Connolly early. I think they win the first one. Do they win the second one, or do they I think they win with Max Fried, but then I don't want to go ahead and say Schlittler is going to lose his return to Boston. I don't want to be that guy.
Right.
But
That's
yeah,
kind of where I'm at.
I think they win the first one, and I think they drop one of the next 2. I don't know where it's going to land, but I think they'll drop one of the next 2.
All right. Well, we shall see. I think they dropped the first one Tuesday, and then
Yeah, that's the better
Max
answer,
Fried and
right?
Schlittler kind of
We'll see.
get him
I'm
back
just
into
not a
it.
big fan of Connolly early. I think the Yankees can really rock him.
No, listen, that's fair. I just think Heel is just not going to have a great start.
That's true.
And maybe you have like a 5-5 game after both guys get pulled through 4. I could
He's
really
not
see
built
it.
for Fenway, Louis Hill. He's
No.
not a Fenway pitcher in my head.
No. So, but we shall see. Again, we appreciate you tuning in. Make sure to follow us on our social medias down here below. Follow the show on Twitter and Instagram, TikTok, The Allen Hour. Subscribe to the channel. Leave a comment down below on our picks. Who you think is going to win the MVP for the series? Let us know about the Royal Series. It was a great series from start to finish. Again, we appreciate you tuning in. So we'll see you back here on Friday to break down the Red Sox series and to preview the upcoming series for the Yankees. I forget who they play off the top of my head, but we'll preview all of that, and we'll have you covered here on Friday on the Allen Hour. So we do appreciate you tuning in. For Andrew, I'm Dylan. So long, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your Monday morning/afternoon. Let's go, Yankees.